Before I was 30, I already had my first home. Just a few years later, I've already had like maybe 4 houses. That's giving a sense of fulfillment. Somebody you mentored is not buying a house. We always probably feel like these people are better than us. But to be honest, they are not. There are some restaurants in some cities, maybe like Manchester or London, and you fall into the hands of those maybe millennial guys that have been here for a while, and they are the first set of people to advise you. Oh, your life we want to bend though.
With a population pushing over 500,000 people, Bradford is one of England's most dynamic cities. In the last decade, more than 6% of residents living here were born outside the UK, but the path to success isn't the same for everyone.
I grew up in a Christian family. My parents attended CAC, and I happened to be the firstborn of 4 children. I started school early. I went to Mary Hill Convent School, and that was one of the elite school in Ibadan back then. I remember every time I saw I go to Mary Hill when I was for my primary education, people are always like, "Oh, your parents must be rich." If I now tell them, "No, we are not, we are not rich, we are just like average," and my other siblings also went to marry you. People are always like, no, 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 no. Your parents must be rich, blah, blah, blah. But my parents just want to give us the best of education. And I thank God today, everything paid off. Myself and my siblings, we didn't waste their money. My secondary school was in Osun State, Ikiri, Osun State. It was a unity school, Ikiri, Osun State. And after that, I stayed at home for 2 years. Not that I didn't pass JAMB anyways. I passed JAMB. I think the first time I scored 228. Post JAMB, I scored 270 something. But Unilorin said, "You can go and sit, go and sleep." So the following year, I was able to gain admission. I was looking to study medicine or biochemistry, but they didn't give me either of those. They gave me biology education. I was not happy with it, but I don't want to stay at home. I said I would take that and next year I'll do JAMB. But when I got into school, I just said, well, I'm not doing any JAMB again. And I studied biology education and it was good. I served in Port Harcourt. So while I was doing my master, my NYC, I just said, what am I going to do after NYC? And I just thought to myself that I don't think there's no job out there, and I don't even know how the Nigerian job market is at that time. And I just took my master's form. I told my parents I was going to write the master's exam for Unilorin, and I told my parents just sort my tuition. I'm going to figure out every other thing because my siblings were still in school. When I was in uni, I worked with Verve. I worked with Diamond Bank. I worked with one other company like that. So it made me met a lot of people, and I now grew to have connection with, especially the guys from Diamond Bank. They were very good and nice. Stephen and co. So when I was doing my master's in engineering, we connected again, and I was doing some gigs on the side. I got some money at that time, and it was after my first year, and I just went to meet an area brother or area uncle that was living in my hostel then, and I just told him, I've got some amount of money. Do I travel or should I buy a car? Because I really do not like how I always have to hustle with the undergraduate students to get into taxi to go to school and also leave the school park every evening. So he just advised me to travel, and at that time I just processed my Dubai visa. I know somebody over there. I just processed 3 months to travel. They already told me how it looks like over there. So when I got there, within the 3 months I was lucky to get a job, and I started working on the job. Right, and it was while on the job I started developing myself again, and at some point I did business. my first year, I was just focusing on the job I was doing, and then in the second year, I started business of traveling and tourism. I started doing visa for people to come into Dubai. I started doing tours also. People would come in, I would take them around, visit visa and all of that. And it was at that point I met some guys. About eight of them were into crypto. It was that time Bitcoin was, I think Bitcoin was even around 3K then. So we had some discussions then and they taught me crypto. I started making money from there and also from the tourism stuff I was doing. So I was able to make some good amount of money. It even got to a point I did my own personal visa in Dubai. I stopped working for other companies. I had my own personal investor visa in Dubai. I thought about every other thing and I just felt like, okay, long-term plan, Dubai isn't going to be good for me. I just went back to Nigeria. I started cattle business. I think I had about 60 cattle in my farm then. I was selling rams also. I think I had about 25 rams. I had about 60 cattle. I bought like a big piece of land where I was rearing the cows. I had staffs working for me. By 2021, I just told myself that this business cannot sustain me. Let me look for another business to do. So I was still doing crypto then. I was just looking to have some multiple streams of income that one would be my cash flow, the other would be for savings and investments. So I was talking to a lady that was into crypto then too, and she told me about UK. I just started the processing for the UK visa stuff, and within two within 2 months, everything was sorted. I remember I was speaking to her in I think October then, and by December, by Christmas, visa was out. By December, visa was out, and I found myself in the UK, and that was it. It's been long I saw you. You're not tall. Yeah, you're almost. See, just little left.
I live for November. I don't play at all November.
Everyone remembers their beginning. For many immigrants, the first months are usually not about success. They're usually about survival.
And I remember the first 6 months I came into the UK, I didn't do anything. I was just trying to understand how the country works. I was trying to understand how the country works and how I can position myself for better opportunities. And I think the goal I gave myself that time was the first 6 months I was not going to work. Right. I had bills to pay and all of that, but I was not really worried because I could sort them easily. So it made me to make that decision. Others might not be able to make that kind of decisions. In fact, when I was making that decision, there was a day somebody introduced me to a work like that. It was a work at a warehouse around BD5. I went for just 2 nights and I never went back there. Anytime I tell people this thing, they're always like, are you butty or what? I always like, I'm not butty, but if I say I was going to do that job to pay for bills and all of that, it was going to derail my plans because I'll just get home, get tired, get useless, and I won't be able to focus on my plans and all of that. But then, like I said, I was able to make those plans because I have something to fall back on, pay school fees, pay bills, and all of that. So in the 6th month, I got a job with a company at that time, and the company sponsored my visa and all of that. From there, it's been up.
Although there isn't any single finish line, but sometimes there is a moment when you realize life no longer feels like a struggle.
I don't want to still be struggling by 30. I want to, by 30 years old, I've made something for myself and I'm just building from there, not starting out life at 30. So it's always been like set a good example for your younger ones. So I've always wanted to be that firstborn who is doing well, that my siblings can look up to and take some good examples from me. What I did then was I bought a car for my mom. Like I changed that car. She has a car before. I changed that car. By the time I was 30, before I was 30, I already had my first home. Just a few years later, I've already had like maybe 4 houses. At that moment, I knew myself that, okay, I think things are now taking shape and getting better. So even as things were getting better, I was still not relenting. I remember my mom always telling me, "She jeje, Rora, yara melo the first one." All of these things, but I'm just always telling her that, "Oh, Igbara Lambura, Veshoman Sofunwa, you just need to use your youth energy to get as much as you can and later on rest." So I'm still hustling. I'm still a hustler. I don't even put myself out there like somebody who has anything.
I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go back to poverty. Okay, do, make it pass off around Lagos. We don't suffer content. They got to see what I am to my mind. I got this woman, Jackie, got the papas. Go fish, my daddy,
In the UK job market, qualifications open doors, but they don't always keep them open. For immigrants aiming higher, the real test begins after entry.
I think breaking into high level roles in the UK is just about being audacious, because from my experience so far, I've seen firsthand how audacity and confidence can get you a lot of things. Being a very shy person, my manager even once told me in my annual review that every other thing was exceptional, and the only thing I think I need to work on is to speak more. You know this thing, just be confident. From that moment, I knew it was a work I had to get on and develop my confidence, because I think inferiority complex also affects us. I mean, people of our color, because we always probably feel like these people are better than us. But to be honest, they are not. I think that is one of the things that set us back. You would see somebody who has a senior level experience from Nigeria and they get here and they are looking for a junior level role. One of the reasons is probably inferiority complex, like, how am I going to do it? What am I going to do? How is this going to go? Are they not going to be picking on me? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm just always like confident, being audacious. I remember I didn't spend 5 months on the job before I was told to come be, okay, there were 2 roles open, head of project management and IT, audit and controls. And I was like, I think I'm going to choose the IT, audit and control stuff. And my other colleague chose head of project management. And at the end of everything, my manager said, I knew you were going to choose this, and I'm glad you chose this instead of being head of project management. And I asked him, why did he say so? He said he's been monitoring me, what I do and how I do them, and I pay attention to details, I do this, I do that, and I understand things faster than my colleagues or my peers at work at that time. I was also like, I've seen your trajectory in the organization. You also started from where I started, from being a PM, and then now going into the role I'm taking now, and now you are a director. I think I want to work your part. So you just have to be strategic, be audacious, be confident enough. And that's what I tell most of the people I mentor now.
But we came to this gym last year because it has more facilities.
So would you say your friends have impacted how often you come?
Yes, because sometimes I feel like it's a debt on my side. Like for example, this morning, we made an agreement to come by 8 a.m. this morning, yesterday, right? And I woke up 7:30 this morning and I felt so knackered. And I just had to message him to say, bro, let's go by 12. If it were only myself, and I say gym cancelled for the day. But because I owe him that responsibility to show up, here I am at the gym. So
After breaking through, some people move on, but others look back and build bridges for those still trying to cross.
So I have some couple of friends who were asking me, how can they get into tech, blah, blah, blah. I introduced them to a friend to go and do training with him, and I told them to just go and do the training and ensure they pay attention and all of that. So after their training, they started applying for jobs and all of that. And then when they get interviews, they come to me and be like, how would you help me? And to be honest, I love helping people. I love helping people. So if you tell me you need my help today on something, if it's something I can do, in fact, I'll go extra mile. People used to tell me, but I want to help them, come out there. You're not supposed to be the one running after them. But I don't know. I'll just keep running after the person. And so I remember it was about 3 people that time. The first lady, I prepped her for her interviews and all of that. I gave her real life scenario examples, how she can confidently say them. I prepped her, I asked her questions, she responds. I tell her, okay, I think you can say it better this way, you can do it well this way. And she went into the interview and she got the job. That job at that time was paying her, I think, £350 a day. £350 a day. That was in 2023. And then the other guy that came to me at that time also, I prepped him. I can remember at that point, we even had a prep session around 11 p.m. It was a job with EY, one of the big four, got that job. And there was another guy at that time I was prepping and doing all of that for, but he later got a job. So it was at that point he started telling me, I think you should start training people also and blah blah blah. And there's this lady on Twitter, her name is Desola. She was, so we met on Twitter and we talked sometimes, and she was telling me, Kappa, let's start this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh no, I love my integrity like this. I don't want something that tomorrow people will now come and say, that guy, Hiroshimani, he did this, he did that. You know, people can say anything, like. So I didn't even listen to him. And at that time, I don't want anything that would stress me. So at a point, I now supported someone and he got the job. Then I now thought back about what my manager said, that I need to get out of my shell and speak more and all of that. And I was now like, how can I do this? Then I talked to this at that time. I said, include me in any JRC webinars you've got or Twitter space and all of that. At least that would make me talk more and stop feeling shy and all of that. So I started doing some of those things and I started talking more, putting myself out there. And last year, some of my friends just said, let's look for a name. We just all came together and just looked for that name, Pro Edge. And we started looking for the motto to go with the name and started brainstorming, and we came about that also. And I was actually supposed to leverage on somebody's platform to launch Pro Edge because the person already has a training platform. But I think at that time he told me he was going to be busy for some time and he wouldn't have time. And I wanted to start in November, but he said he was going to be busy. And I was just like, why didn't you go ahead and do it on your own? And I started, and as God would have it, it's been 1 year we started, and there's been no regret. We've had a lot of success stories. I have students working in multinational companies, high street banks in the UK. I've just been thankful because I think I found purpose being part of someone else's breakthrough, being the reason why families are able to now adapt to the UK and stop some survival jobs, if I can put that in. I have a student that messaged me about a month ago or 2 months ago. He's buying his own house from working in this industry. It was someone I also mentored and all of that. And when I was going to buy a house again, he reached out to me and said, we want to be like you. How should we go about it? So that's giving a sense of fulfillment. Somebody you mentored, he's not buying a house. He started the job about a little over a year ago, earning decent amount of money, and he's also smart enough to think of buying a house and not using this kind of money to eat akara, like they say, right? To be honest, I've always looked forward to owning a Benz. I think the first car I ever bought for my mom then was Camry. Then ever since then, I've been buying Lexus SUV for myself. Like I keep upgrading Lexus SUV, and I think I bought Highlander Toyota for my mom too then. And since when I got to the UK, I've been driving SUVs also, right? And I've always known at one point I would buy Benz because to me, car na car, car na car, moto na moto, just to get you where you are going. But they are more sophisticated than each other, and the comfort and the driving experience, user experience differs also. And it's good. It feels good driving a Benz, but you know, some people say it's unnecessary purchase and all of that. But sometimes when you work and make money, it's always important to also try as much as possible to spend part of that money aside investing on something that gives you happiness or stuff like that, right? So driving Benz is very good. Like the experience is top notch, I won't lie.
Money spent can be replaced, but certain milestones carry emotional significance that lasts much longer.
To be honest, I still don't feel like it's something big. I remember when I was going to buy this place, I have a friend who bought a house then, and we're always talking, and he knows I into business and all of that aside my 9 to 5. And he's always telling me that Kappa, do this, do that. He even told me at that time to put money in, I think, cash ISA or something. I told him, if I put 4,000 this year, put 4,000 the next year, government will put 1K. And me, I'm like, tomorrow I might just need that £8,000 to start a business that would yield more than whatever the government is giving me. Where do I go to? I can't even withdraw because they will be fine. So I think he was just able to convince me to say, the earlier the better. I was just like, okay, let me buy the house. And to be honest, it still does not feel like a super achievement to me. It's just, I'm that kind of person that when you achieve a goal, you're just like, okay, that one is out of it. No extra happiness. It's not that I'm not happy that I own a house, right? But what I'm saying is it doesn't make me think maybe I'm fulfilled or better than anyone else. That's just it. So, most definitely expensive thing I've bought. If I'm saying the most expensive thing I've bought, I would say it's this house in the UK. I would say it's this house in the UK. That's the most, because I cannot think of any other expensive thing I've bought that is. Although in the UK, it's deposit that you drop and you pay monthly your mortgage and all of that. But then I don't think, even if I bought a car in Nigeria, it's not up to the cost of the deposit I dropped for the house. And what else? So the houses in Nigeria are built from scratch, so I didn't buy them, right? To be honest, I can't really think of anything right now, but most expensive thing I bought actually would be maybe a property in Nigeria.
Behind every success story is a quiet financial pressure that isn't always spoken about.
To be honest, I've always been seeing that discussion everywhere, but for me, I think my own experience with black tax is different because my siblings are my responsibilities, my cousins, nieces, my nephews, I believe they are my responsibility, and even those ones, they don't tax me because my siblings are doing well, my parents are doing well. So when I give, it's out of my responsibility to say, okay, take, take. For example, this Christmas, I've been doing a lot of sending back home out of free will, not because A reached out to me to buy something for Christmas or to get something for Christmas, or B reached out to me. It's out of free will. So my experience with black tax usually comes from maybe friends that you've known, just trying to make ends meet. And I, if I have, I always give, but sometimes it gets too much and you just feel like you have a budget, and if you do beyond what you can, the next moment you are kicked out of your kicked out of your house because you have bills to pay also.
After you've finished your message, just hang up. Or to hear more options. Every year, thousands arrive the UK chasing opportunities. But what really determines how far they can go?
So if you're just coming into the UK, the first thing I always tell people is have a plan, have a strategy. At least, like I always see on Twitter, people will say have plan A, plan B, plan C, right? Because the reason for having such plans, in about 3 years ago, you might not have more than plan A. But right now, immigration rules are changing, right? And while immigration rules are changing, we've been seeing the patterns of these changes. And the pattern of these changes has not been affecting some, should I say, class of immigrants. For example, those that are earning high, some immigration rules have not been, what's it called, applicable to them, right? So if you come into the UK, the first thing is get a job that would sort your bills. That is the number one thing, because you don't want to get kicked out in the cold, right? Get a job that sorts the bills. While at that, ensure you have a plan to get yourself a high-paying skill. It's not everybody that will get into tech. It is not everybody that will get into tech. So I wouldn't advise anybody to get into tech. In fact, some people come to me and say, oh, I think I want to get into tech. I'm thinking of business analysis. I'm thinking of project management. I'm thinking of what else is out there, product management. I'm thinking of, in fact, a lot of people don't even know what IT audit is, or GRC, or whatever it is. And I tell them, I wouldn't tell you what to choose. Go and learn about these things you've mentioned to me. Look at the one you can undo and succeed at. But first thing, get a job that pays your bill and plan for an escape route to break even. Because what I always tell people is the average age of people that come to the UK now, let's say 30 to 33. In the next 10 years, I'm sure nobody still wants to continue doing survival jobs, because at that time you would now have family and you don't want to become a deadbeat father. You are dropping money, but you are not available for your kids. They will still say you are a deadbeat father, right? Because you are an unavailable father. So get a job that pays the bill and start planning on how to get a skill, not necessarily tech skill. It could be blue collar skill. You could learn carpentry, you could learn bricklaying, even construction. I was speaking with a friend and he says he works in a construction company. And when he told me the money he earns per hour, I was like, "Ooh!" Even me, I didn't know that they were earning like that, right? So get a skill that is universal. A skill that if today you leave a certain place and you get into another place, you can easily get into the job market and get something out, right? So that's going to be my advice. It's not going to be easy. That's the bitter truth, but you know the reason why you are doing that for yourself. And in the next 3 5 years, you'd thank yourself for doing that.
I can't be like, would I send message follow you? Okay, no problem, it's fine. Yeah, we need to buy gloves.
Throughout this year, we don't use gloves. Nothing happened.
I need to buy gloves. My hand is strong.
No one climbs alone, especially in a new country. The people around you can either limit your vision or expand it.
The type of people you have around you also determine your level of exposure when you arrive in the UK. I was telling somebody a few weeks, no, it was about a few days ago, and I was telling them, if you come into this UK and there are some restaurants in some cities, maybe like Manchester or London, and you fall into the hands of those maybe millennial guys that have been here for a while, and they are the first set of people to advise you, your life will want to bend though. Because their own way of reasoning is going to be different from what is expected of somebody of our generation, right? They might help you to get a job very fast, which is going to pay your bills because they have been here for a while and they understand the terrain and all of that. But I don't think they are familiar with the new ways of making money. So meeting people, connecting with people, it could be from church, it could be from mosque, it could be from social media, but try as much as possible to meet people, connect with people. I've met a lot of people that introduced me to somebody, introduced me to someone that got me some things at some point. So if you meet people, and when you're meeting people, don't just meet anyhow people. Ensure that their goals align with yours. If you are thinking of earning a salary of 50K and you're telling somebody about that dream, that in my first 2 years, I want to have been able to at least upgrade myself, and by that time maybe start earning well in the UK, and they ask you, what salary are you looking like when you say earning well, and you tell them, I think to start with, if I'm not being audacious, I think 40K to 50K. And they tell you, Iboleti Ferry, run away from such people because they are shallow-minded people and they are not dreaming high. Their dreams are far lower than yours. So if you are thinking on a very strong wavelength, they are thinking on maybe UHF, or you are thinking on VHF. I've met people that all of the jobs they got were through referrals. And they are recruiting in XYZ place. Let's take your CV. Put my name as referral and all of that, even in this UK. So when you meet people, initiate conversations, start from there. Myself, I play football. I go to club. I go to restaurants. I try as much as possible to talk to people, and I don't make friends in the first instance. When I discuss with you and I see your level of reasoning, I try to be like, okay, I think this person would be on the same wavelength, and it won't be the case of maybe I'm too over-ambitious, or I'm over-ambitious. Sorry, don't let me use tautology.
Stories like this remind us that beyond survival, something better is possible with time, intention, and the right choices.